Hello everybody and welcome back to SFF180. Thomas here, your host. As always, it is Monday, September the 19th, and time once again for the mailbag. Not a massive epic haul like we had last week, which was pretty unusually large. I'm going to say this week's haul is average sized, half a dozen packages, so one of them here feels like it has multiple items in it. So we'll get into them here in just a second, but if you remember from last week's mailbag, I told you that I had some big announcements coming up, so here they are. Well, at least with a big announcement, and that is that I am moving out of here at the end of October. Big life change, and there's going to be a hell of a lot of work involved in making that happen. So you may want to expect a few, maybe. I'm going to try not to interrupt content creation, new videos, the regularity of the mailbag, that sort of thing, while all of this is going on. But if it happens, it may happen. So just be aware of that. I'll try to keep you guys up to date with progress reports as it's going along. However, one thing I am going to do, and because it's going to be necessary, really, and that is the library tour, the legendary library tour that I promised you guys forever ago when I hit 2,000 subs, and now I'm like, what, nearly at 2,500? So yeah, I vow that the last thing I record in this room before it is cleared out entirely will be the library tour. You will at least get the neat version of the library with a good chunk of, the books in my possession being showcased, and you'll see what this place has looked like, or at least a cleaner version of it, for many years, before I get set up in the new place. And it'll be nice to have a record of that anyway, because, I have liked it here, but it is time to move on. Okay, so anyway, that's happening, and I guess that's really the big announcement that I have. So without further ado, let us get into this week's book, shall we? And this first one is a big old hefty package from Random Penguin, which, as I said, is the one with multiple items in it. So I'll go ahead and try to knock that one out first. And indeed they are. This package contains pretty much all of the October releases that I requested from the Random Penguin imprints, Ace, Rock, and Daw, mainly. There are 3 mass market paperbacks and 2 hardcovers in that package. Here are the paperbacks. Starting with the first one here, this is the mass market release of Closer to the Heart, which is Mercedes Lackey, the second volume in her current Valdemar series. And if you know anything at all about Mercedes Lackey, you'll know that Valdemar is her big universe. She's written about 1 billion books in it, and they just keep going on. And this is the current trilogy that she has, called The Herald Spy, and so this is Closer to the Heart, Volume 2 in that trilogy, now in mass market paperback. And moving on with the Daw paperback series, this is from Diana Rowland, and this is Legacy of the Demon. And this is the latest volume in her current, this is an urban fantasy series, as you see. I guess all about demons invading the earth and people who fight them. And this one, I just looked in the front, and this apparently is the 8th volume in this series, so if you're a fan, look for the new one coming up in October. And finally, from Ace Books in mass market, we have The Bloodsworn. And now this is one that I've been kind of wanting to read. This is more of a traditional epic fantasy, high fantasy, apparently has some romantic elements, but mostly, as you see, it's about this amazing woman with a sword. And so this is the 3rd and final volume in the Bloodbound trilogy. It's called The Bloodsworn, and the earlier volumes were Bloodbound and Bloodforged. And so now here we have The Bloodsworn. And as the war between Alden and Oridia draws to an end, the fates of both kingdoms rest on the actions of a select group of individuals, and of course, on the unbreakable bonds of blood. So it's that kind of thing. The author is Erin Lindsay, and is coming out from mass market paperback from Ace Books in October. And as for the hardcovers that were unceremoniously shoved into that package, this is Closer to the Chest. Okay, remember Closer to the Heart? Well, this is now Volume 3 of the Herald Spy trilogy by Mercedes Lackey, Closer to the Chest. I can't remember what the Volume 1 in this trilogy was called, but I guess we are closing in on various body parts. So maybe there'll be Closer to the Brain and, Closer to the Lumbar Vertebrae and who knows what else. But Closer to the Chest, in any rate, comes out from Daw Books in October, continuing this trilogy. And rounding it all out, we have Into the Guns. This is the finished copy of a book that I've gotten as an ARC, actually. This is a new military SF a series by William C. Dietz, who has written quite a lot of that sort of thing. And this is the first in the America Rising series, and I've read it over, and it's, as you'll see, it's very, very upbeat, uplifting tale. It says, on May Day 2018, 60 meteors entered Earth's atmosphere and exploded around the globe with a force greater than a nuclear blast. Earthquakes and tsunamis followed. Then China attacked Australia, Asia, and the United States in the belief the disaster was an act of war. Because it's completely logical that we would, throw 60 meteors at China. Washington, D.C. was a casualty of the meteor onslaught that decimated the nation's leadership and left the remaining elements of the armed forces to try to restore order as American society fell apart. Oh dear. As refugees across America band together and engage in open warfare with the military over scarce resources, a select group of individuals representing the surviving corporate structure makes a power play to rebuild the country as a free market, the new Confederacy. Oh dear. Well, that's bad, because so not only do we have meteors and invading Chinese armies, but we also have libertarians attacking us. So anyway, Into the Guns, an incredibly uplifting story about puppies and kittens, comes out from Ace Books in hardcover in October. And this next book comes in from Pyre or Prometheus Books. This is a book called Judgment at Verdant Court. And it is the third volume in a fantasy series called World of Prime. The author is MC Plank. I've gotten the previous volumes. I feel kind of badly because there are just loads of these fantasy trilogies and other series from Pyre Books that I haven't really been getting around to reviewing, and I'd like to. Just to check them out. These tend to be much lower profile books than some of the big titles that come in, like a lot of the titles that from last week's episode, and then who knows what's coming out. This, what else I have left to open on this episode. They get a little bit less buzz, and so it would be nice to give them some coverage. But anyway, this one is the continuing adventures of Christopher Sinclair, mechanical engineer turned priest of war. Our hero faces evil on two fronts: a friend turned murderer by the power of magic, and an entire nation of murderous wolfmen. One he has to save, from the vengeful clutches of the druids, and the other from the mercenary greed of the king. But the true enemy is despair, the shame of a man who has done terrible things, and the madness of a man who is doing terrible violence. Can Christopher pick a path through broken and bloody bodies that still leaves room for goodness? So as you see, this is in the grimdark vein. Comes out December 6th. I guess maybe rounding out a trilogy, or who knows, more book. Probably a trilogy, from MC Plank. And moving right along, I have a package from Tor, and look at this baby. This is called The Family Plot, and it is the new novel by Cherie Priest. Comes out tomorrow, September 20th. And it says it's her first standalone novel since before she began the Clockwork Century series, which started with Bone Shaker and went on for quite a few volumes. And so, gosh, okay, it's a unique take on the classic haunted house book. Halloween's coming up. I have Halloween plans, so maybe this could be one you'd like me to add to them. Chuck Dutton, it says, built Music City Salvage with patience and expertise, stripping historic properties and reselling their bones. Inventory's running low, so he's thrilled when Augusta Withrow appears in his office offering salvage rights to her entire property. This could be a gold mine, so he assigns his daughter Dahlia to personally oversee the project. The crew finds a handful of surprises right away. Firstly, the place is in unexpectedly good shape. And then there's the cemetery. Uh-oh. About 30 fallen and overgrown graves dating to the early 1900s. Augusta insists that the cemetery is just a fake, a Halloween prank, so the city gives the go-ahead. Oh, this isn't going to end well, is it? The bulldozer revs up, and it turns up human remains. Oh! Augusta says she doesn't know whose body it is or how many others might be present and refuses to answer any more questions. Then she stops answering her phone. But Dahlia's concerns about the corpse and Augusta's disappearance are overshadowed when she begins to realize that she and her crew are not alone, and they're not welcome at the Withrow estate. They have no idea how much danger they're in, but they're starting to get an idea. On the crew's third night in the house, and I'm going to stop reading there, just cause. But yeah, it comes out tomorrow. Family Plot from Cherie Priest. Let me know in the comments, you guys. Alrighty, and moving on with the Tor mail this week, we have The Dreaming Hunt. This is called. Comes out the 27th of September. Okay, this is the sequel to a book called The Sleeping King, which I guess came out earlier this year, maybe late last year. And the authors, as you see, Cindy Dees and Bill Flippin. And this is very much, according to this, in a traditional, super traditional epic fantasy mold, because it's like in the Jordan, Terry Brooks kind of realm. And it says it's based on an original live-action role-playing game. Well, there you are, Dragon Crest. It comes to life in these novels with the blessing and input of its founder, Bill Flippin. Okay, then. What do we have here? The planet Earth, with a U, was once a green and verdant paradise stewarded by powerful elemental beings, but the delicate peace was destroyed when a race of near immortals... Look, either you're immortal or you're not, right? I can't see why there would be a near immortal. Yeah, sounds like that's like being a little bit pregnant. Anyway, near immortals called the Kothites came to Earth. In the ensuing centuries, they have wreaked havoc on the planet, and the mortal races of men, elves, and other creatures are seeking a way to break free of the Kothite menace. And, you know, it goes on from there. But if you like this sort of thing, you'll be happy to know, then, that Volume 2, The Dreaming Hunt, comes out from Tor on the 27th. And moving on, look at this. Look at this. Pretty, isn't it? This comes from Joe Fletcher Books, which is a Hachette imprint. And it's called The Hidden People. The author is Alison Littlewood, as you see. Rather eerie and creepy looking. Maybe a Halloween book? Anyway, it comes out November 1st. And let's see what I can say about it. In 1851, within the grand glass arches of London's Crystal Palace, Albie Miralles meets his cousin Lizzie for the first time, and as it turns out, last time. When he learns of his cousin's death at the hands of her husband, he is devastated by the thought that the beautiful, talented young woman he once knew is no more. Unable to countenance the rumors that surround his younger cousin's murder, namely that her husband burned her alive for being a changeling, Albie decides to go to the village of Half Oak to personally investigate. When he arrives, he finds an isolated community deep in the grip of ancient superstition, where nearly everyone believes Lizzie's husband acted with the best intentions and in the service of the village. There, Albie begins to look into Lizzie's death and to search for her murderous husband, who has disappeared. But in a village where the rationalism and rule of science of the Industrial Revolution seem to have found little purchase, answers to the question of what happened to Lizzie and why are elusive. And the more he learns, the less sure he is that there aren't mysterious powers at work. And, well, you know, I suspect things will turn out, you know, for the worse for Albie. But Hidden People, Alison Littlewood, comes out on November 1st. Let me know in the comments what you think. And, well, here we have it. Finally, last but by no means least, the new novel by Connie Willis is here. This is her first book since the Blackout and All Clear duology that won the Hugo. And this comes out October 4th. Crosstalk says, let's see, it explores a not-too-distant future where a simple outpatient procedure that has been promised to increase empathy between romantic partners has become all the rage. So, when Bridie Flanagan's fiancé proposes that he and Bridie undergo the procedure, she is delighted, only the results aren't quite as expected. Instead of gaining an increased empathetic link with her fiancé, Bridie finds herself hearing the actual thoughts of one of the nerdiest techs in her office, and that's the least of her problems. Well then, effective, very light touch from Connie Willis. Probably, you know, the Connie Willis who gave us To Say Nothing of the Dog and books like that. But Crosstalk, I'm really excited about this. What do you think? Comes out October the 4th from Del Rey Books. And there you have it, everybody. That is the mailbag for this week. Thank you all so much for joining me. You know the drill. Hit those comments. Let me know which of these looks most interesting and exciting to you, and which you'd like to see me prioritize for review. And yeah, about the reviews, again, don't worry too much. Like I said, maybe some interruption in some uploads as the move progresses, but I still have quite a lot of plans. I still have some reviews to record and post from last week's Diversathon, which I'm really looking forward to getting done, so look forward to those. And I do have some elaborate Halloween plans that are going forward no matter what happens. So look forward to all of that. But anyway, if you enjoyed watching, thank you so much. Leave a like, share the video far and wide with all of your SFF rating friends, and above all, please sub if you have not done so. That's how SFF180 grows as a channel. And also don't forget the TeePublic store where there's nifty merch, shirts and such, okay? So until I see all you awesome, lovely people next time, happy reading!